Hey guys, it's Jamie. So today we are gonna sew our little wrist wallet that we did in class the first day. This is what it looks like right here. And what we will need other than fabrics that will fit our pattern, which is here, and you can print from the website, but what we'll need besides those are a D-ring and a lobster clip. And if you want, you can use snaps on it. You can also use a piece of Velcro here to close it. And let me just set this guy aside for a minute and we will start working on this. So the fabric just needs to be big enough that you have a double layer to put your wrist wallet pattern on right here. And then you need a piece that is big enough to have your strap on the fold of the fabric so that it's long enough to make this. So we're gonna start with the strap first. I'm gonna put this one over here for a minute. And then what we're gonna do is put this on the fold of our fabric. So it says cut on fold, but what we're gonna do is place that on the fold and we're gonna be pinning this on and then cutting around 3 sides of this. So we're gonna do that. And then we're gonna cut around our 3 sides. We are not cutting the fabric where it is folded, we're just cutting these 3 sides. Okay, and there we go. So now we got our wrist strap. We're going to start by ironing this wrist strap. So we're going to take it like this on the wrong side of the fabric, and we're going to fold it in half. Cord was not cooperating on my iron. We're gonna fold it in half with the wrong sides together, like that. And once we get those wrong sides together, now we have a crease down the middle of it. And then we're gonna fold our edges into that crease. And then we're gonna fold it over one more time. And there we go, there's our strap. So we've got that done. And we're gonna sew that together. So what we're gonna do with that, bring it over to our machine. And I like to use the zigzag stitch. You're probably not gonna be able to see this on camera, but I usually use the number 5 stitch because it's just slightly decorative and it also covers the entire strap with a zigzag. So I put my strap right in the middle of my presser foot right here. And then that way I'm able to cover the strap with the entire zigzag. So what I did, I took the number 5 stitch on the machine and I made it the longest and widest that I could. So you don't really have to do that, it's not necessary, but it just makes it a little bit bigger and faster to get through. As long as it's sewn together, that's what we're looking for here. And we're just going right down the middle of it. You don't really have to backstitch on this step because this gets sewn in. And then we'll take it off. And there we go. We've got our wrist strap sewn. So the other thing we're gonna do is cut off a couple inches of this so that we can use that as our tab on the wrist wallet in a minute when we do that. So I'm gonna set that piece aside till we're ready to work on it. And get all these little bits of thread cut off here. All right, so I'm gonna put on our little lobster clip now. So So we're going to take this, feed it onto our strap like this, and we're going to be going back to our straight stitch, which on my machine is 0, 0. And we are going to start in the middle of this. We're going to back stitch to the end. We're going to go forward, and then we're going to go back into the middle. And the reason I do that is because if you try to get right on the edge of these, it's nearly impossible to do that since they're so small. So we're going to start in the middle, back stitch till we're at the very end of it. And then with my petal, I'm going forward, and then I'm going to stop at the end, and then I'm going to back stitch back into the middle, and then I'm going to take it off. All right, so now that's sewn together, I'm going to trim it really close to that edge right here. And then I'm going to flip this whole thing around so that that seam that we just sewed is going to end up on the inside right here. And then we're going to repeat the process that we just did. So we're going with this seam inside now. It's tucked in there. We're going to go middle, backwards, forward, into the middle again, just like we just did. And that just seals off that raw edge. So backwards again, and then forward with my foot pedal, and backwards again. Okay, and there we go. We got a strap. So get all our little bits of thread cut off here. And there are a lot of them. So much thread here. Okay, there we go. So we can set that guy aside for a minute, and then we're going to start working on the rest of the wrist wallet. So we have got our fabric here, and I have gone ahead and placed it right sides together like this. And what I'm going to do is get a marker and go around this entire thing with that marker. So we're going to go, in fact, let me put it like this so you can see all the markings on the pattern. We're just going to draw around it. You could cut this out as well. That is totally fine. And before I do that, I like to just have my fabrics right sides together, because that way you don't have to worry about doing that. But you can definitely cut it out along this line. Cut your fabrics out and sew around it. This just makes it a little easier, and this is what we do in class too, so it's not so difficult for people who are just starting to stay on that line. You've got a real clear line of where to sew. So what I'm doing here is marking two things. I'm marking our opening that we're going to leave so that we can turn this right side out, and I'm marking where our D-ring is going to go. So now that we have that, we can take our piece that I set aside earlier, this one, and we're going to feed it onto that D-ring and put it in here. Stick a pin in that right there. Okay, so that's going to stay there. This is our opening here so that we can turn it. So we're going to be starting to sew right here, and we're going to come to this corner and do our turns. So we're going to leave our needle in, pick up our presser foot and pivot the fabric, and we're just going to keep going around on each turn and doing that. We'll run right over this. If you need to keep your pin in, you can do that. It's better if you can take them out, but if it's a matter of your finger or the pin, definitely choose sewing over the pin rather than your finger. So we're going to start here. I'm going to go back. I've got my 0, 0 stitch on now, and I'm going to back stitch a little bit on this just to lock my stitches in. So I'm coming to this corner right here. I'm lifting up my presser foot. The needle is in. That's super important. and then we're gonna turn the fabric. We do that at every turn. So we're coming to this one, leaving our needle in, picking up our presser foot, turning. Each one. These are the tough ones, they're real short. Okay, so coming along. One more stitch. Okay. Okay, now we're to the hard side. So this is where our tab is. So I'm gonna get really, really close to where this tab is. And I may even have to give my fabric a little tug from behind. You don't want to tug or pull or push as much as possible, but sometimes things will get stuck if you do not. So we're going to go forward like this, and then right down to here, and we're going to back stitch and then take it off. All right, and then we're going to cut this out. I'm just going to trim around here at the edges. And I did so over my pin, but you don't need to necessarily. We're just getting everything trimmed as best you can. The more you can keep your scissors on the table, the easier this is going to be. And then we're going to end up with this right here. And what we're going to do is go through the hole we left and turn everything to the outside. We're going to get our chopstick into these corners and really aggressively poke them out. Like that. And then I'm going to pull my iron back over here and get everything ironed out real nicely. So that hole we left is right here, and I am going to iron that little crease into it so that way everything looks really nice once we turn it out. So even though I just did my turning with my chopstick, once you iron it, usually you can get into these corners a little bit more efficiently because the fabric's warm and it's easier to poke those out. And the more you can really get your corners poked out, the better it's going to look. And then get our iron this way. Now we start putting this whole thing together. So we're going to fold it like this. Just fold one edge up. You can make them as short as you want or as long as you want, like that. It's up to you. And then we're going to just pin this together. The hole that we left is right here, and it's going to get sewn up in this step all by itself. One step. Okay. Get everything pinned together. Machine back over here. And still with that straight stitch, we're going to back stitch a little at that point up here. And then we're going to go straight down this fold. And I'm going to turn here. You can either turn here or you can just go straight down on each side of it. It's up to you what you think is easiest. Sometimes on this part, it gets a little difficult to get your stitches through, and you may have to give it a little tug from behind because we're going through 4 layers of fabric. And then we're going to back stitch here at the top with our needle. Take it off, and we are almost done. We just got to put on a snap. So to get these snaps on, these are not necessary. You can use any other type of closure you like and that you find easiest. But I get these snaps on Amazon and they are wonderful and really easy to use for a lot of things. So they come in a kit. You have to have 4 pieces per working snap. So you've got 2 that are pokey, it's these 2 right here, and then I've got one that looks like a cup and one that looks like a top hat. And those are what work together to hold your wrist wallet closed. So I am going to find the center of this by folding it in half. And then we're gonna fold it down the way that we're gonna want it to end up, like that. I'm gonna poke my little poking tool through here, and I'm poking it right on that line that I just created, that little crease when I folded it in half. And I'm poking it through all the fabrics, because that way you have a hole right where these 2 are gonna line up. Then I'm gonna take my snap, put the pokey side in here on one of the shiny sides, one of our pieces here, and use this little snap tool to put it together. Squeeze. And then the other one is going to go right in here. Like that. And there we go. We've got a snap. It will go together, I hope. I got the edge a little bit. One more squeeze. There we go. All right, and then you can take your wrist strap that you made and just hook it onto here, and you've got your adorable little wallet. So these are wonderful. They make little great gifts, and they're a great way to use up any scraps that you might have laying around. All right, I hope that was good and informative, and I will see you in the next video.